Hello guys and welcome to the third part of my Path of Exile Beginner series. In the first part we took a look at each class, what they can specialize in. In the second part we took a look at the settings and I showed you why you absolutely need to use an item filter in Path of Exile. Now I'm going to show you a few tricks and tips that can help you to get through the campaign very easily. Now, let's say you finish the tutorial area, you beat Hillock, the endgame boss of the tutorial zone, you got into town where I am right now, maybe you even advanced a few zones further and you found some few items. What items can these be, you might ask? Well, the answer is very easy. For example, an Orb of Transmutation. You could have found an Orb of Transmutation, an Orb of Alteration, maybe even a Blacksmith Whetstone, an Orb of Augmentation, or maybe even an Orb of Alchemy, or you've encountered an Essence monster. Now, if you don't know what an Essence monster is, you will immediately recognize it when you see one. It is a huge rare monster that is frozen in ice, and you have to click 3 times to release it. You will see what type of essence you will get after you kill the monster, so you can decide whether it is worth to kill it or not. But generally in the early game it is always worth to kill it, because it is an easy way to make an item rare, to upgrade it basically from a normal item to a rare item. Now, what tip and tricks can you use here? So let's say you're playing a bow character, right? You're playing a bow character, you're using, for example, the skill Split Arrow, which is a skill that you get very early on in the game. And you deal, a decent amount of damage, but you feel that there is more, you can deal more, let's put it that way. Something that you can do is, if you're still using a normal item, you can use an Orb of Transmutation to upgrade an item. And as you can see, this basically resulted in us getting 2 modifiers, and that is the maximum that a magic item can have. So we have a normal item, a white item, for example this Driftwood Maul, and we have the magic item, which you can recognize simply by the blue color scheme. And a magic item can only have 1 prefix and 1 suffix. In this case we hit at 4 to 6 fire damage and 11 increased critical strike chance. Now, something else that you might have found during the leveling process is an Orb of Alteration, and that reforges a magic item with new random modifiers, meaning if I use it on this bow, for example, the old modifiers disappeared and now I got attack speed, which is very nice. But there's only 1 mod, right? Only 1 suffix. I know, okay, because a magic item can have 2 modifiers, how do I get another one? And the answer to that is the Orb of Augmentation. If we use that on the bow, we will get a new prefix. And in this case, we hit increased physical damage and accuracy rating. If you're wondering, okay, 2 modifiers, 3 lines of text, what is going on? If you press Alt right next to your Windows key, you will get the answer. Because as you can see, the prefix is a combination of increased physical damage and of accuracy rating. Okay, so that would be, for example, 1 step to increase your damage, but you can do that even further with something that is called a vendor recipe. How does a vendor recipe work? Well, the way it works is that we are going to sell a combination of items to a vendor. That vendor can be, for example, Tarkley, where you can sell items, or you can go to Nessa, and each town there's some an NPC that you can sell items to. It doesn't really matter which NPC you go to. One recipe that we can, for example, use is that we can use a rustic stash. Now you can find these, or you can just buy them for Nessa. As you can see, 2 wisdom scrolls, they're not that expensive. By the way, always pick up wisdom scrolls and portal scrolls if you're wondering you were going to use them. If not now, then you're going to use them in the future for sure. So always pick them up. They will come in very handy. Now, when we found or bought a rustic stash, we can, for example, use an essence on it, and this will make it rare. If you haven't found an essence yet, or maybe you found an Orb of Alchemy, you can use that. Otherwise, you don't have to make it rare. It's also, it's absolutely fine if it's blue, if you just use an Orb of Transmutation. You should definitely have a few then. What you can then do is that you, for example, can sell the bow, the rare rustic stash, and a blacksmith whetstone. And this will, as you can see, not only give you some shards, but it will return your item. And it will guarantee that we will hit a specific mod. And that specific mod is increased physical damage. And as you can see, we went from 17% increased physical damage to 50%, which is of course a massive difference. And the good thing is you can repeat that. Well, every time basically you get a new base, because when you level through the campaign, the higher your level, the more item, or I should say, the better item bases you will encounter, meaning the base damage of the item will increase with the item level of the item. So, for example, a bow that you would find in a level 5 area is of course generally worse than a bow that you would find in a level 50 area, for example. But this does not only work for bows. So, for example, when you use a spell, when you're a spellcaster, if you're using Summoning Raging Spirit, this actually does not apply because the minion is doing the damage and not yourself. But if you're using a spell, for example, Freezing Pulse, which is a skill you get also very, very early on as a witch, this can come very, very handy, What we have to do for that is that we have to have a wand, right? We need to make it blue magic by using an orb of transmutation. And what we then can do is that we can sell an orb of alteration, and I will show you how you can get these easily, by the way, and I actually need to cancel that because I don't want to sell 2, I only want to sell 1. We can sell the wand, we can sell the orb of alteration in combination with a ring. Now, you can make this ring, as you can see, this ring is normal, right? It has it's not a magic ring, it's not a rare ring, it's a normal ring. You can do that with a normal, a magic, or a rare ring, but magic ring requires you to be level, I believe level 12, and a rare ring requires you to be level 20 in order to then be able to equip the wand. So we are using a normal sapphire ring without any modifiers here because, as you can see, the item changes and we now have a wand that adds 7 to 11 cold damage to spells, sorry. And yeah, as you can see, this is a prefix, so there's still space. And if we accept that, I cannot equip it because I'm only level 2 on this character, because it's a twink I've just created. But what we can do, for example, we still have a suffix, so we can use an orb of augmentation, and then we will get a new modifier. In this case, we got fire resistance, but it could have been car speed, for example. And if you continue doing that throughout the acts, every time you get a new item base, right, where you, okay, this is an upgrade, yeah, cool, I like to do that. You can always do that to increase your damage. Now, how do you get Orb of Transmutation, Orb of Alterations? Well, to be honest, it's rather easy. What you can do is you can sell unidentified items. For example, if I would sell all these 9 rings that I have here, I would get 2 Orb of Transmutation and a few shards. But if I, instead of selling these, would basically unidentified, would use a wisdom scroll to identify these 6, let's just use these 6 for now, you can see I would then get instead Orb of Alteration. And generally you always need Orb of Alterations later on. Orb of Transmutation will become pretty useless. Early on, Orb of Transmutations can be very, very nice, simply because they are also used in certain crafts, in the crafting bench that you will unlock later on, which I will also make a video about, so do not be afraid if you have no idea what I'm talking about. But this is a nice recipe for you to get easy transmutations and easy orbs of alterations without much trouble. So always make sure to pick up all the magic items and rare items. I used rare items here. This does absolutely work with magic items as well. So if you sell magic items unidentified, you will also get Orb of Transmutation. If you identify them, you will also get Orb of Alterations. And of course, the trick I showed you does not only work with the bow or with a wand. Well, of course, the wand recipe was a bit special, but the same recipe as that we used for the bow can also be used, for example, for a 200 maul, which is a 200 mace. So, for example, if we use that 200 mace and we sell it with a blacksmith whetstone and a rare rustic stash, we get our weapon back with the 50% increased physical damage. And yeah, so that's a nice, easy way for you to get a weapon that deals damage that will basically, yeah, maybe even triple your damage sometimes. It's crazy how much damage you get if you really do these crafts with every new weapon type that you get. Although I wouldn't suggest you to do these as early as possible, right? You should probably, for the weapon, probably reach level 12, 13, 15 before you should start doing this, simply because, well, otherwise you have no choice because you don't have the necessary currency yet. Basically, by currency I mean the Orb of Alteration, the Orb of Transmutation, and the Blacksmith Whetstone. Maybe even an essence or an Orb of Alchemy, which are also called currency, by the way. And yeah, if you don't have that yet, don't stress out. You don't need that to level. It just makes it a lot easier and will help you a lot when it comes to getting through the acts in a breeze. Okay, that was it. Sorry for the quick and dirty video style without much preparation today, but I really just wanted to get this out for you and hope that, you learned something new. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below. And maybe even if you have a suggestion, what topic I should make a video about. What do you feel maybe unsure about in Path of Exile? Is there something you don't know, you don't really understand? Tell me about it and I can look into it and maybe make a video about it as well. Okay, thank you so much. I hope again that you had a great time getting into 2023 and that the year of course will be great for you. No more COVID and everything at least will be fine for now. Okay, thank you so much and see you.